Alright, and I just had another thought that I was like, I should probably show you guys. This is a thing. The premise is comically similar to doing like ink splatter and stuff like that. Great. But if you wanted to do like raised paint or something, I figured I would just show you that specifically as an example. So I'm going to grab this and just mask off everything else because it looks insane. And what I'm going to do, so this is a displacement map, and I am just going to make this really, really simple looking. I know I'm not going to have any, what am I saying? I know I'm not going to have any super crazy values, you know, indented into this, so I'm just going to kind of make it black as a background. I'm going to go ahead and do a color overlay on this to make it white. And then I'm going to go ahead and do an inner glow on this, same way I did with the pen. Really a fan of inner glows because I'm a spaz. And then I'm going to make that maybe like barely off black. I'll set opacity to 100 and do a bigger size. And theoretically, what this should give us, if we save this and render it theoretically, is, wait for it, paint blob disp. It should give us something relatively similar, so let's just go ahead and assign this a new material. A Arnold standard surface shader. Sure. And you know what, I'm gonna go through and try to make this like actually look like a thing while I'm at it. What the heck. So I'm gonna grab a file texture and actually map the file texture like a real person does. Downloads, where's my regrets folder from yesterday? Paint, scratch, great. So grab this, and obviously nothing's gonna show up because it's a displacement map unless we actually render something. So, or put in a light, what am I saying? It's been a day, guys. Alright, so we have this really awful looking, sad, blobby kind of thing, but it does kind of look like an ink splatter. I'm not going to say it's the best ink splatter that's ever existed, but it does a thing. And that's, again, just using with the inner glow, which I'm probably unduly obsessed with. The other thing you should make sure of is that your subdivision settings for under Arnold in the polyshape node, if you're having issues with this rendering, go through and just set this to Cat Clark. It might give you a little bit more resolution. Excuse me. And then also, if this was something that was exported out of ZBrush or whatever, you'd probably also want to set the color space of your displacement map to raw. In this case, I just did this out of Photoshop, and I think I just saved it to a crappy, like 16-bit PNG or something like that. But actually setting it to raw does actually make a big difference around the edges, so it might be worth just sort of doing that. That being said, if I wanted to, you know, make this better as an overall texture, what I could do is, for this one, I'll turn off the inner glow, and I'm just going to save this as, let's see, I'm going to make the background maybe a little bit, actually, wait, what am I doing? So for this, actually, the background should be, let me invert that, and then make the background slightly darker. So this is going to be mostly rough. And then what I'm going to do is color overlay this black, and this is just going to be like super comically shiny ink. So I'm going to go ahead and save this out as bloop bloop bloop, paint blob, roughness. So this is just sort of like a more full workflow of my silly, let's make everything excessively, like low-key easy in Photoshop. Roughness. Hooray. So theoretically, alright, and it seems like I require more checkboxes. So probably alpha's luminance would help. And it does seem like it's done, where now we have shiny ink and a not shiny everything else. And if we go in and perhaps mess with the color of this, it'll be a little bit more obvious what's actually happening. So we have this darker shiny blob of ink, and then whatever weird color behind it is doing, you know, whatever the heck it's doing. So we can go through and do even more with that if we wanted to, and put in some kind of background texture of some sort. And in this case, I think I'm actually going to try to do something really weird. I'm going to try to use the same image that I have and put like basically a weird squiggly texture on it. So what I'm going to do, I'll pause this really quick. I'm going to go into my hypershade because I'm going to need it. And I'm going to grab this and expand it. This is just the texture that I'm using. Alright, so we have the paint blob. And what I'm going to do is make a ramp texture. Boop. And this is, you know, obviously you could very, very easily do this with a real person image. Let me make sure I'm recording because I hate having to redo videos. Alright, so grab base color. And actually, I'll grab the entire out color for that. Alright, so this is what we have so far for this. And you can see, alright, so you can see if we mess with the white slider, it's going to give me a little bit different values. Like I can basically turn the whole background blue. And I'm just going to set the interpolation to none. That's going to keep the ink as like a nice separate little blob. But what I can do is, so like right now we have a blue background, and that's fine, that's dandy. But I want something fancier. So you can map another ramp into this. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to map a ramp into the blue. You could do a noise texture or a checker texture if you wanted, you know, a silly little background or something like that. But what I'm going to do is, I think I put this in weird, or my texture is just not refreshing. That's a distinct possibility. Or I've put it into the wrong place. I have put it in, yeah, the ink is now having a gradient, and that is not what I want. So, make sure that you are putting things in the correct channels. Cough, cough. Ramp texture. Great. Alright, and now what we should theoretically have is a weird gradient ramp with, yes, beautiful. So, what we can do is do just a hideous, hideous gradient of yellow, and then green, and then blue, and I will finish with purple. Isn't it awful looking? Guys, I love it. I love terrible rainbows. And then I'm just gonna add some noise to this, and be like, boop, and I will do maybe some wave, and now we have this like really trippy ink blob from like 2 texture maps. So, yeah, that was pretty much my bit on ink.